Okay, welcome back, guys. So you may have noticed that, for the first 10, 15 seconds there, the screen was completely dark. I did that for a reason. It was intentional. That's what the internet's going to be like. That's what YouTube's going to be like if, these two new bills here in the United States, SOPA and PIPA, get passed. If you don't know what SOPA is, it's the Stop Online Piracy Act. And it's a bill, that's kind of a big deal right now because U.S. Congress is getting ready to vote on it, and what it does is it basically gives the U.S. government a really broad scope to kind of police and censor content on the internet, specifically for people who live in the United States. Now, I'm not saying that the reason is they want to go Big Brother and try to run everybody. The text of the law. I'm sure it's to stop online piracy. I mean, let's face it. Online piracy, whether it's games, movies, music, anything that can be copyrighted. It's a big problem. People do it. People rip stuff all the time. And is that right? No, not necessarily. I think to some extent, if not all extent, people should get paid for their work, whether they're artists, in the field of painting or pictures or music, video games, what have you. People have a right to earn money from things that they've created. They shouldn't be stolen from. But with SOPA, what it does is it kind of gives the government power to shut websites down that host this copyrighted material. So torrent sites, big deal. File sharing sites. All of these things, as the way that the bill is written, could be shut down by the government, and that sucks because the way the bills are written, it's very vague, it's very broad spectrum. It's not very precise. Take for instance, I'm going to use YouTube because obviously you guys are watching YouTube. Everybody watches YouTube. Everybody puts stuff on YouTube, and it may not be their stuff. It may be pictures in one of their videos or music playing to one of their videos, what have you. Even this video here, I don't own the game, the copyrights to Call of Duty the video game, but I'm putting game footage up here. And basically, under SOPA, if somebody wanted to prosecute or file a complaint as the way the bill is written, YouTube could be shut down, because they're hosting this copyrighted material. That sucks. Having the internet, it's supposed to be a place where you can just, information. And I understand, information isn't free and, whatever, but it'd just be ridiculous to let these bills pass. If you've noticed today, I don't know how much time you guys spend on the internet. Me with my job in IT, I spend quite a lot of time on the internet. And obviously I have favorite sites that I go to. And a lot of those sites, and you may have noticed yourself, like Wikipedia, Info-G, a lot of these sites, they were protesting this bill. They shut their sites down. Wikipedia, a source, and granted Wikipedia is not, the best source for, accurate information, but it is a source for information. Wikipedia would be shut down in a day under SOPA. I read an article today on CNN where one of the main Google executives, and Google owns YouTube, basically if this bill got passed, if either one of these bills got passed, SOPA or PIPA, YouTube would basically go dark immediately. It would cease to exist overnight because Google just couldn't, sustain the legal pressures of trying to support YouTube because there's no way. I mean, I don't know how many millions of users are on YouTube, but everybody puts stuff up here, and I'm more than certain not all of it's copyrighted. So yeah, I understand the reasons, the intentions for the bill. They want to police the internet, stop online piracy, but doing it this way is not the right way. You know, if you there's hundreds of articles out there on the internet. You know, it really comes down to, and one of the best analogies that I read was, you know, it's Hollywood versus Silicon Valley. You know, for no, you know, surprising reasons, the MPAA, the movie, was it the Motion Picture, you know, Association, as well as you know, the record companies, you know, they're in support of these bills because, you know, let's face it, they lose a lot of money from, you know, illegal copies of, you know, music or movies. But they just don't understand, you know, the ramifications of these bills, the way that they're currently written. It would completely change, you know, the internet from the way that we know it today. You know, the U.S. obviously, you know, they could shut down sites here, you know, in the United States, you know, U.S.-owned sites. You know, could they shut down sites outside of the U.S.? No, but what they can do, according to the bill, is block those sites from people, you know, accessing them in the U.S., which sucks because, you know, I go to a couple different foreign sites. So what does that mean? Does that mean, you know, a lot of tech companies are going to start taking their businesses outside the U.S. Just to get away from this bill? I don't know. It's just, it's so asinine. It's just, this type of censorship is not the way to go. So hopefully, you know, Congress and, you know, the guys who make these decisions, you know, the guys that we elect, hopefully they can get their heads out of their asses and see that it's not necessarily these bills are bad. It's just they need to be reworked. They need to be thought out in a much more efficient and productive manner than what they're currently written in. Before I go, just one quick thing. I saw a Twitter post today. The actual author of the bill. They showed a picture of, you know, the guy who sat down and proposed the bill, who wrote the bill. Then they showed his campaign website, and his background image was actually, you know, it was a nice, you know, scenic image of like some woods in the fall and whatnot. Really nice picture. But apparently, and this was on this guy's campaign website, you know, obviously that picture belonged to somebody. Somebody took that picture. And so somebody went hunting around and found out who the author of that picture was, who held the copyrights to that photo. And apparently, you know, and this is just, you know, the U.S. government, they're a bunch of asses sometimes. But, you know, that guy wasn't copyrighted. You know, he was not asked if his picture could be used on the SOPA author's campaign website. So, you know, these are our leaders. These are the guys who are making these decisions, you know, for you and me. These are the guys who supposedly have our best interests in mind. It's not always the case, guys. I suggest you go out there, read about SOPA, read about PIPA. I believe, it's supposed to get voted on either the 23rd or 24th of this month, so it's right around the corner, next week. Let's just hope it doesn't pass. I'd hate to see the internet and, you know, this level of freedom of speech, you know, if you will, freedom of information, go away. If it happens, it's just going to be bad news for everybody. So keep that in mind, fellas. You know, look it up, stay aware, be knowledgeable, and see you next time.